Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Analise and today I'll be doing a houseplant tour of all of the plants in my New York City apartment. I decided to split this tour into two different parts because I think it would be a little bit too long otherwise. So today we're going to be doing a tour of my plant room, and then on Sunday I'll be uploading a tour of the rest of my apartment, which includes my IKEA greenhouse cabinet, which is sitting behind me here. So definitely stay tuned, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the second part of this houseplant tour, and give the video a like if you enjoy it. So let's hop into the tour. Welcome to my plant room. So I'll start over here where the majority of the plants are. These are sitting on our Vitcho shelves from IKEA. I'll put a link in the description down below. So a quick disclaimer, this plant room includes plants that are both my boyfriend's and mine. 25% or so of the plants are his, and then about 75% are mine. But for the purposes of this tour, I'll go through all of our plants. So starting at the top shelf here, we have some extra grow lights up here, and we have a regular form Monstera Adansonii. This plant actually started from a one-leaf cutting, so it's grown so much, which we're really excited about. Next up, we have this begonia. I'm not sure the exact type, but I got it from Lowe's and it's exploded in growth. It's absolutely massive now. I feel like I should trellis it or something, but I'm not really sure. We'll see what happens with it. And here is a narrow form Adansonii that's living in Leca and loving it. It's shooting out these long vines that wrap around the shelves. Next up here, I actually talked about it in my May favorites video, is an Alocasia silver dragon. It started out with this baby leaf when we got it, and then it shot out these two really big and beautiful leaves, and there's actually a new growth coming in right there. Back here is a Amedrium medium. It was sold to us as the silver form, but we think it may actually be the green form because it doesn't come across very silver. Next to it is a variegated Amedrium. It has this super cool kind of wrinkly texture, which you can see, and then white variegation, and it actually just started to put out this new leaf, so we can't wait to see that unfurl. Next up is our Rehab Varicosum. This came pretty damaged from shipping. All of these leaves were really struggling, so we're trying to rehab it in some sphagnum. This is the newest leaf it put out. It's clearly a little wonky, but hopefully the next leaf it puts out is better than that. Here is our little baby peace lily. Has a little bit of new growth coming in there. Super torpy, but hopefully it's a big, beautiful peace lily one day. Back here is the Scindapsus trubii moonlight. The leaf coloring is absolutely gorgeous. I don't really know what happened with this leaf, probably too much light, but this new one is perfect. Then we have our Mama Monstera Peru. You can see just how big these leaves are, and she has this huge vine coming out, constantly putting out new growth. This one grows so quickly for us. And then here we have a Monstera Acacoeguinesis. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but this one basically shed all of its leaves. We're not sure why. So we put it in some spag in this cloche, and as you can see, there's a few growth points that'll hopefully shoot out some growth soon. Okay, moving down to the next shelf, we have another plant that was in my favorite houseplants video, and this is my Philodendron Ploumanii. This is the newest leaf that was actually just starting to unfurl in that video, so as you can see, it finished coming out and it's beautiful. The veining on this plant too, also on the back of the leaves, it's gorgeous. And then the petioles have this cute little wavy pattern going on, so I absolutely love that plant. Here is a Philodendron Painted Lady. It's a cutting I took off of my mother plant, and she's putting out some new growth right there, so that's super exciting. It looks super yellow and beautiful, so that's exciting. Back there I have a tiny little succulent, I'm not sure of the type. And then here is my Philodendron Beatier. Absolutely beautiful. This is the newest leaf, but it's put out a couple of leaves actually in my care so far. So it's a pretty easy, low maintenance plant. Next up is a Philodendron Camposportuanum. The leaves come in this beautiful orangish color, and you can see the cute little lobes at the top, which actually become more pronounced the more mature the plant gets. This is the top cutting I just took off of it and put in water that I'm going to root and hopefully plant back in there to make a fuller plant. Back here in this little mini terrarium thing, I have a cutting of a Crimson Queen Hoya. And here is my Mama Hoya Crimson Queen, who I absolutely love. I mean, look at the variegation on that leaf. That's definitely my favorite leaf. But it's constantly shooting out new growth, kind of wrapping around these metal things, so it seems pretty happy here. Down onto the next shelf, we have a cutting from my Mama Maranta Lucanera, the variegated form. So as you can see, the leaves do have some kind of creamy variegation. Here, this one's a little bit more pronounced. Every leaf is so different, but I do love this plant. This was a cutting I took and I potted up, so I'm actually gonna be doing a trade with this one later this week. Here is my mama painted lady. As you can see, she has a few more leaves here. She put out this tiny leaf after I cut her, probably due to a little bit of shock from cutting, but there's a new leaf coming out there, so hopefully it's a bit bigger than that one. Here is my Alocasia Black Velvet. So, so beautiful. Love that one. And it's putting out new growth in there, so that's pretty exciting. Back here is my Syngonium albo. This is the newest leaf that it just is finishing unfurling, which has probably the most beautiful variegation of any leaf yet. My other ones had a little bit less variegation on them, but this one came out with a bunch, so I'm really excited about that. Here are some more Maranta cuttings that are rooting in water. They're actually pretty well rooted, so I definitely can pot them up probably pretty soon. Here is my Maranta Silver Band, which I think is just stunning. I mean, look at those leaves. A new leaf is coming out here. This one's been a pretty fast grower for me actually, so I did take some cuttings that I'm rooting in water that hopefully I can use for a trade at some point. Here is my Hoya Macrophylla Albo Marginata. This one's been kind of struggling. Well, not really struggling, it's just done absolutely nothing since I've gotten it. No new growth, just been sitting here. It is sun stressing on those leaves, which is pretty, but I'm really hoping for some new growth sometime soon. Here is an Alocasia, I think Adora, but I'll correct it on the screen if I'm wrong. And it has a little bit of variegation, as you can see. I got it for really cheap because it had such limited variegation, but I'm hoping that this leaf maybe comes out with a little bit more. In the back there, I just have a single leaf cutting of a Hoya Pubicalyx Splash that I knocked off my mother plant and just threw in some sphagnum. And then on our bottom shelf down here, we have an Anthurium Regal. This one actually came earlier this week, and so we're letting it just acclimate in some sphagnum. And then this is a Philodendron undulatum. It did struggle quite a bit in shipping. As you can see, this leaf broke, and there were some other issues with it, but we're trying to reroot it in sphagnum and hopefully it bounces back. And then also on this bottom shelf, we have a prop box. I can do a more in-depth video on how I make my prop box and what's in it, but I'll just show a quick highlight right now. This is my variegated heartleaf philodendron. It is rooting up in here right now. I have 2 different leaves, so I hope to have a full plant of that one day. Okay, moving on to the next shelf, starting again at the top, we have a Calathea Gray Star, really beautiful leaves. It does have some damage from when we had spider mites, but it's putting out so much new growth that I think it's doing fine. Here is our Philodendron Silver Sword. As you can see, it's about to reach the ceiling. There's new growth coming up there, so we're gonna have to figure out something to do, either move it or cut it back, but it's just absolutely gorgeous. Moving down here, we have a little propagation station. These are all Monstera Siltibacana cuttings that we took, and back here is a Calathea Warscewiczii. I'm sure I said that wrong, but it is a beautiful, beautiful Calathea, and the leaves truly feel like velvet. Here's some new growth. It also suffered from spider mite. You can see the spider mite damage, but it's coming back. We believe in it. Next, we have our bigger silver dragon. So this is what the leaves really look like when they're a lot more mature. And this is the newest leaf, which is just so beautiful. Look at the veining on the back of this leaf. It's this beautiful, deep burgundy maroon color. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Here is my variegated Philodendron Burl Marks, which grows so quickly, I can't believe it. Look at this beautiful half moon leaf, and look how much new growth is coming out. I mean, you can see there's tons of growth points in there. Definitely a plant I would recommend, and it's loving LECA so much. You can see there's roots absolutely everywhere. Back here is just a cup with some propagations. That's a propagation from my Philodendron Florida Green and some other random things in there. Here's another Alocasia Black Velvet. This is our happier looking Varicosum. This is the newest leaf it put out, which is so gorgeous. It has 3 really beautiful leaves. And then back there is my Hoya Carnosa Compacta. I'm really excited because I've had that one for about 6 months and it just started putting out new growth. I know they're notoriously slow growers, but it is finally growing, so it's pretty exciting. Moving down, so this is a shelf. We actually took out the middle shelf here. There should be glass here, but we took it off because we needed a taller shelf for all of our taller plants. So starting in the back, we have a Siltibacana here. I put it on this wood plank, which I got inspiration from Caitlin from Plant Life in the Tropics. So I'm hoping that at some point it will attach to the plank and the leaves will get bigger. Also on a plank is my Melanochrysum. It just put out this newest leaf and there's another new leaf actually hiding behind it. So this one is quite a bit smaller than the leaves that the plant came with when I first got it. So I'm hoping that by putting it on a plank, it can attach and grow some bigger leaves. Here is my Alocasia Frydek. This one definitely struggled from shipping. This was the last leaf that was left from shipping, and you can see it's hanging on for sure. It's been a couple of months that it's been hanging on, but looking a little bit rough. And then it put out this leaf, which also looked pretty rough, but yesterday it just finished unfurling this new leaf here, which is pretty much perfect. So I think it's on the mend and it's gonna start putting out more beautiful leaves. Here's another plant I showed in my favorite video. This is my Monstera albo. So it has 2 leaves. I got it as a cutting. Oh my God, as an unrooted cutting actually. And as you can see, it's rooting so well. I'm so happy. I was so nervous with this one. I didn't want it to rot or anything, but it's doing really well. Here is my second Monstera albo. It has a little bit less variegation, but super pretty. I was drawn to how the variegation was just on one side. This one did definitely struggle. Even though there's great variegation in the stem, it put out 3 different green leaves that I had to cut off. And then it put out this baby leaf, which is actually variegated. So pretty exciting. And there's new growth coming in here, which I hope also comes out variegated. Back here is my Philodendron Florida Ghost. You can see this leaf is still pretty minty. I think it's the newest leaf. I haven't had any new leaves come out since I got the plant, but there's new growth coming out right there, so I cannot wait to see what this new growth looks like. In the back here, we have 2 Monstera subpinnatas. This one struggled a lot in shipping as well, but look at its newest growth. It's absolutely perfect. And here is a Monstera lechleriana. It looks a little bit like the Adansonii, but as you can see, the placement of the holes are different and they're slightly different shape. And then here is another Monstera acacoigenesis. This one's also been struggling a lot. There's a lot of yellowing and we're not really sure why. We're trying everything at this point, but hopefully it does bounce back. And then here's our second Monstera siltepecana. We just put on this cute little trellis, so I can't wait to watch it grow up that. Then on the bottom shelf here, we just keep extra plastic trays, some pots, and a lot of glassware for propagations and leca and things like that. So those are the entire plant shelves. Moving on to the rest of the room. Here is my main Maranta leucanera variegated. Absolutely beautiful. You can see some of the variegation occasionally has this kind of orange hue. So really beautiful. And this plant grows so quickly. There's tons of new growth coming all the time. So I love to take cuttings of it and using it for trades and things like that. Moving down here is my Peperomia obtusifolia. This one was one of my first plants and it was really struggling when I got it. And then over the winter, actually, it put out all of this new growth. And now it looks a little wonky, falling out of the pot, but it's healthy and happy. Here is my fish Seymour, just hanging out with all the plants. Then here I have another Scindapsus trubii Moonlight. This plant has been such a slow grower for me, but I'm excited that it's finally putting out a new leaf. I can't wait to see it actually unfurl. Here is a Syngonium. I don't know much about Syngonium actually, so I'm not sure the type of this specific one, but I am getting more into them just because they grow so well and I think they're so beautiful. Next is a Philodendron mammii. This one also struggled in shipping. These were the original leaves that came with it. So I put it in some spag because the roots had rotted, and now you can see the new leaf that is coming out is so pretty, and I think it's going to be a really good one. Up here in this beautiful pot that my old boss made for me is a Philodendron brantianum. So you can see the beautiful silver coloring of the leaves. I'm absolutely obsessed with this plant and I can't wait to have a huge trailing pot of it. Down here under its very own grow light, we have a Monstera deliciosa, just the green form. This one is struggling. We found more pests on it yesterday, sadly. So we're in the middle of treating it. We had been wondering why it was not doing well and a lot of leaves were drooping, and then we found pests. So that's probably what's going on. We might have to kind of chop it up a bit. I mean, you can see even the new leaf is coming out damaged, but hopefully this one does bounce back because it's one of our first plants. So over here we have a Peperomia cubensis. This actually we grew from a little tiny 1-strand cutting and now it's so big and beautiful. And we didn't know it could do this, but if you can see, there's actually some sun stressing on leaves. So that definitely adds to the beauty of this plant. Back here is a Euphorbia lactea variegata, which is super cute. It's a cactus, and as you can see, it's white, but then there's some kind of green-blue variegation on it. Down here is a lemon lime philodendron, really beautiful. We got it as a 1-leaf cutting, and now it is 4 plus this little baby leaf, so gotta watch it keep growing and chugging along. Here's a Paulownia repens. This one was also a one leaf cutting we got in a mystery cutting box, and it's growing so well. A little bit weird looking, but kind of cool. This is another Peperomia obtusifolia, but it's the red edge kind. If you can see, there's kind of this red edging on the leaves. And then finally, the last plant in the room is my Calathea macoiana, who I think is just stunning. I mean, look at the intricate patterning on the leaves, and then the back of the leaves are this beautiful red color. It's absolutely beautiful. Sometimes they come in kind of orangey with the backs of the leaves, so definitely a Calathea I'd recommend. It also has been pretty easy in terms of care. It hasn't needed so much humidity like some of the other Calatheas we have, so definitely one I'd recommend. So that is it for the tour of the plant room. Thank you so much for watching and staying till the end. Definitely stay tuned. We have about 50-ish plants in here, I think, maybe 60, and then about 60 in the rest of the house. So definitely stay tuned to see the rest of the tour. Thanks for watching. Bye.